Hi, my name is Catherine Shelton. I'm an Indiana State University student enrolled in the LPN to RN Bachelor's Bridge Program. And this is my first health education project for community health nursing. And we're going to be talking about alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults, why that can be dangerous, and resources that are available to hopefully reduce this. So our learning objectives, upon completion of this presentation, the viewer should be able to define binge drinking, list 4 potential consequences of alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults, list risk factors for alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults, and list at least 2 resources that are available for youth. So before we get into the presentation, I am going to pass out a pre-test. Just answer the questions to the best of your ability, and then hopefully I'll answer any questions that you have throughout the remainder of the presentation. So to get back to the presentation, underage drinking is becoming more and more common within the United States. According to a study done by the CDC in 2019, 29% of teenagers drank alcohol in the last 30 days, 14% of teenagers admitted to binge drinking, 5% admitted to driving after drinking, and 17% of teenagers rode with a driver after they drank alcohol. And then I wanted to point out this bar graph here. This was from a study done in 2020, and it found that teenagers abuse alcohol more than tobacco or marijuana throughout their teen years. And as you can see, these values are steadily increasing as the teenagers get older. Now, this is a bar graph that I chose because I found interesting. So recently, the rate of teenage girls to teenage boys who drink alcohol and binge drink alcohol has shifted. Up until several years ago, teenage boys had a higher rate of alcohol use and binge drinking than teenage girls. One must consider the different possibilities for this shift. It makes me wonder if it's related to certain societal pressures or possibly unrealistic beauty standards that teenage girls feel like they need to live up to. But it's interesting that just recently that this has shifted. And as you can see, the alcohol consumption still goes up as the teenagers get older. So what is binge drinking? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines for Alcohol Consumption of people who are of the legal drinking age of 21 years or older is no more than 1 alcoholic drink for females and no more than 2 alcoholic drinks for males over the course of a day. Binge drinking is considered when a female consumes 4 or more alcoholic drinks over 2 hours, or when a male consumes 5 or more drinks over 2 hours. Binge drinking is also considered drinking to the point of excess, where one's blood alcohol level is above the legal limit of 0.08. So why is underage drinking and binge drinking so dangerous? Alcohol poisoning is a big one. It can be a medical emergency, and it's more common in teenagers and young adults who binge drink. Alcohol poisoning, like I said, can be a medical emergency as the person may become unconscious and develop shallow breathing. Underage drinking and binge drinking is correlated to increased motor vehicle accidents that lead to injuries and death. Underage drinking has a higher association with physical and sexual violence, and alcohol is often present in teenagers and young adults who have committed suicide and homicide. Frequent alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults is often associated with other substance abuse issues and continued alcohol abuse into adulthood. Alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults can also be harmful to brain function, leading to memory loss. Sexual development and normal growth patterns may also be altered. But there is more than just your health at risk with underage drinking. Legal trouble is a big one. Alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults put them at risk for legal trouble, such as minor in possession charges, an MIP, or driving under the influence charges, or a DUI. Both can have heavy legal fees and long-lasting impacts on the person. School trouble is another consequence. Youth that abuse alcohol may suffer from failing grades and or miss more days of school than their peers that do not abuse alcohol. This could impact their continuing education opportunities. So there are several risk factors that have been identified for people that are more common to abuse alcohol. Genetics is one of them. Children who have alcoholic parents have a higher risk of abusing alcohol earlier in life and also becoming an alcoholic into adulthood. Parenting is another one. Parents who openly express positive attitudes towards drinking and who frequently drink alcohol in front of their children are more likely to have children that abuse alcohol. Environment and peers, somewhat similar to the parenting styles, but being present in an environment that favors regularly consuming alcohol may contribute to alcohol abuse in teenagers and young adults. This could be at home or among their peers. Trauma is a big one. Children, teenagers, or young adults that have experienced a traumatic event, such as child abuse, sexual abuse, are more likely to abuse alcohol. Abusing alcohol may be adopted as a coping mechanism to deal with the pain of the trauma or as an escape route. And I think it's important to note that trauma can take various forms and can stem from various times in one's life. So now that you know some risk factors and consequences and trends of alcohol abuse in teenagers, I wanted to provide some resources for youth and their family. Above the Influence, this is an interactive website for teenagers to gather information about alcohol and other substance abuse disorders. The site uses videos to educate youth on substance abuse, and there's also a forum and discussion board that allows teens to interact with one another and provide support and advice. Project Know. This site provides a wide array of information for the teen audience about alcohol and drug abuse. It lists a variety of community resources for counseling and treatment facilities, and they do have a toll-free helpline available on the website for further help. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America, ADAA, has a specific section for teens and college students. I wanted to include this because many substance abuse issues stem from trauma and or a mental health issue or disorder. So this site offers different resources for teens to locate mental health assistance in their area. This site also answers a lot of frequently asked questions teens or college students might have about anxiety and depression. And then depending on the location, some high school students may have access to drug and alcohol counselors on their campus. This may be more common in urban areas, but these counselors can help teenagers navigate that are struggling with alcohol and other substance abuse issues. So I do have a post test for everybody, see how much you learned from my presentation. And lastly, I have my references here. And thank you for listening, and I hope you found this presentation to be informative.